The frail old lady could have been lying when she said I could make a wish. I had met her walking down the sidewalk, where cigarette smoke reeked and litter piled up. I had almost, as if on instinct, wished to live forever before I instantly stopped myself. Nobody wishes to live forever and doesn't regret it. I've read the stories. No, I had to be smart about my wish. My wish would let me live forever, but it would let my friends and family live forever too. Hell, let the planet live forever, and the sun, and anything that could make immortality backfire if it were to die. I was smart about my wish. I wished for everything to live forever. The lady just smiled and walked away. For the first day or two, people were confused. People on their deathbeds were suddenly in perfect condition. Some could even leave the hospitals like nothing had ever happened. Nobody died, and there were no regrets because I was smart about my wish. Phone batteries would charge up and never decrease. Glass could be dropped from skyscrapers and still not break. There was a bee in my house that sprung back up and stung me after I hit it with a fly swatter. But the pain's not too much to worry about because I was smart about my wish. The news started to flare up. Something about livestock that couldn't be killed. Something about trees that couldn't be chopped down. Something about birthday candles that couldn't be blown out. I just thought everyone could live vegan from then on, until they started to talk about vegetables that couldn't be pulled out of the soil. Maybe they'll make a solution soon. Maybe they'll be as smart as I was about my wish. Even with the few annoyances there were, my wish was perfectly fine. Immortality is one of the worst things to backfire on you. So, if nothing dies, nothing can go wrong. Nothing dies, nothing. Not even fire. They said the wildfires were from a lit cigarette. The fire never died down. Instead, it grew larger, wider, swallowing everything in its reach and spreading quickly. Nothing they tried could kill the fire or even make it shrink. It grew, swallowing towns, swallowing states, merging with other fires that had appeared. It hadn't even been a week. I watched in terror as the fire accelerated toward my home, and the searing, burning agony that surrounded me within seconds was enough to make me want to die. But I didn't. My skin was unharmed. My home was unharmed. Everything was unharmed, and everyone was unharmed. Yet the pain remained. It was far too bright to see anything, but I could hear the screams of pain surrounding me, the cries of horror, the shrieks from everything as the planet burnt down. Yet nobody died. Nothing can ever die anymore. Nothing at all. Maybe, I wondered, maybe I wasn't so smart about my wish. I gave a call to my sister Beth. She worried that her fiancé Seth was going to find out that she was using the phone without his permission again and beat her. I assured her that I was in the middle of talking to Seth about it now. Beth began to worry about what would happen if I said something to upset Seth, and it began to be difficult to keep myself calm and cool-headed. I hated Seth from the moment my sister brought him home. I got off the phone with my dear sister and began to walk to my toolkit. From wire cutters to copper wire, from scalpel to nails to hammers, I had everything ready for my guests. Seth was tied down to an old steel chair that I found in an old abandoned building that was not too far from the warehouse in Harlem. Behind him was a troll that kept needing to be put down. In my mind, I was about to kill 2 birds for the price of 1. As to be expected, the 2 wannabe alpha males tried to scream in anger but couldn't. It was then that the color from their faces was flushed as they looked at a table with their vocal cords scooped out and left on a silver plate next to their tongues. I tried to warn them that the more they screamed, the more stress it would put on their stitches, but pathetic filth like them never listened, and it was fun with me. I figured that I had at least 2 minutes to torture them before they suffocated. So, I went to work as I cut parts of their fingers on each hand. To my delight, my stitch work held out until I removed their arms in small pieces. I called up my sister once more and told her that Seth fled off to find himself and his new girlfriend in Mexico. A lie that, with a little work, convinced her to forget about Seth. After I ended my call with Beth, I began to clean up. The only thing on my mind as I did was, it's gonna be a long drive home. I honestly can't deal with this unbearable hunger or pain and the feeling that I'm always starving. I honestly don't know how much longer I can hold out before I snap and give into the hunger. Boarding a small plane, a group of people leaving from Toronto, Canada, are heading to the Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. Everyone is excited about this trip because none of them have ever been or experienced the US before. But little did they know that in just a few hours, everything would change. During the flight, everyone seems to be relaxed and talking among themselves, when a sudden loud noise comes from one engine on the right wing of the plane, causing the plane to jerk to the right, making the passengers worry about what just happened. Without warning, the plane starts descending at a high rate of speed, but somehow the captain is able to crash land the plane. After the crash, one of the passengers, John Parker, wakes up only to find that all but himself and 4 others died in the crash. Not knowing what to do next, John and the rest leave the crash site to find food and water. But after a few days of searching, they found nothing and began to starve. John leaves the rest and goes back to the plane, not knowing what to do next. He eats one of the bodies. During the night, as he's trying to sleep, John starts to feel weird and doesn't know what is happening to him. That is, until the next morning, when he starts eating the rest of the bodies. As he rips an arm off one of the bodies, he hears a sickening sound of bones breaking and tissue tearing. As he starts gnawing on the arm, he enjoys the taste of the blood. After a month of being by himself, and with nothing else to eat, he begins to starve. That is, until the other 4 return to the plane, only to learn their mistake and fate. In horror, they scream and run into the forest, causing John to attack them, and as his hunger takes over him, he began ripping them apart, enjoying how their warm blood ran down his face excited him. Now no longer human, John is forced to live the life of an animal, always wanting and desiring human flesh. I had spent the night at a friend's house to celebrate Halloween. There were Jolly Rancher shots, some s'mores made as an appetizer, pizza, and tons of beer. We celebrated with at least 5 other people who just didn't have plans for Halloween, but didn't want to stay home. It was honestly a great time, for the exception of almost choking on the pizza. That night, I barely remembered falling asleep. The last thing I remembered was that I went to blink after Travis, one of my friends at the party, told this hilarious joke about his ex-girlfriend. She really was a horrible person that only wanted him to get to his friends. So, the fact that he told us hilarious jokes about how much of a bullet he dodged not only made us laugh, but made us happy for him that he was finally getting over her. I was in a deep sleep on what I thought was the couch. However, the more that I sobered up, the more that it felt uncomfortable to move. I slowly opened my eyes to see if it was how I slept or something to that effect, as I kept hearing a drop of water and felt the cold air hit my face. As I woke up, I regretted it immediately. Not just because I ended up puking, but because I was tied down with Ziplocs, and who I saw on the stairs. Caroline? Is that you?
What do you think?
She said in an almost demonic tone. Where am I? What the fuck is going on? I struggled to get free, but realized that there was no way out of it. She moved closer to me, with blood dripping down to the floor.
You ran me over, Jack. You then tried to bullshit that you weren't on the road that night. The courts might believe you, but...
She said, wagging her finger that had maggots crawling throughout it and other parts of her body.
You and I both know what happened. What really happened?
She said in an aggressive, demonic tone. At this point, I could smell rotting meat coming from her decaying corpse. Please, it was a mistake.
Oh, a mistake? You failing to accept being dumped, or drinking so much that you thought it would be hilarious to hit me with your shitty car? Or perhaps burying me alive in some field and then pretending it never happened was the mistake? Personally, all 3 seem to be your last mistake.
She looked at me with her once beautiful, seductive eyes as her corpse sat on my lap. The fear that surged throughout my body was paralyzing, but not enough to ignore the pain of her sharp, jagged teeth that quickly dug into my neck as her sharp claws forced their way deep into my arms. I tried to scream for help, but I knew it was pointless. She whispered into my ear just before I died,
You taste as sweet as candy. How fitting on the only night that my soul could gain vengeance. Now, if only your soul didn't taste like shit.
And after that, everything went black. They were the only two people in the entire theater. Still, she danced as beautifully as she always had, even if there wasn't an overwhelming audience to watch her. The music carried her elegantly from one side of the stage to the other, in a routine she had done so many times before, the same one, over and over again. She was so close to perfection now. He sat by the side, watching her in awe. Though he had seen every single one of her performances, he never seemed to grow tired of them. On the contrary even, his excitement subtly seemed to grow every time she danced, as he guided her towards a flawless act. He had created the dance just for her. To him, only she possessed the elegance, beauty, and heart to complete the story he had made up in his mind. Only she could be that perfect princess between an army of the flawed. If that meant others would be jealous, so be it. Not once had he wavered from his casting choices before, and he wouldn't stray from them now. Somehow, he had a good feeling about this time, so much so that he could barely keep himself contained to his seat. He giddily watched as she twirled and swayed and whirled, as she became an angel of carefully coordinated steps that seamlessly flowed into each other. But alas, one wrong move, and she got all tangled up. He let out a sigh of frustration and didn't mask his anger even a little bit, as he turned off the music and walked onto the stage, getting as close to her as he possibly could. "What a mess you've made," he muttered under his breath. But even in his sudden exasperation, did he not lose the sense of overwhelming care he felt for her, his star project. With a delicate hand, he moved her legs, feet, arms, and so on, in an attempt to unknot the strings that were pierced through them, even carefully wiping away some of the blood that had started making its way to her costume. As he did, she only let out a whimper, for it was all she could do. As he finally got her completely untangled, he planted a tender, loving kiss on her cheek. Only then did he take a seat, making sure the strings were attached to his fingers without error, so he could guide her once more. Let's take it from the top. As usual today, the brown dog was there waiting for me. Upon seeing me, it wagged its tail and barked once, as if to say, "You're finally here." It had once belonged to my neighbor, now a stray. It looked at me hungrily. I put some meat on the ground in front of it. It trotted over and began slurping up the food greedily. I patted its furry head. I couldn't help thinking about its owner, her sweet smile, her long brown hair, how we had fallen in love, how we had kissed for the first time in my car, when the rain was pouring down all around us, how I would play with her hair and smother her with kisses,
how she told me she just bought a cute puppy and showed it to me. Well, look how big you've grown. But the betrayal, I remember it most vividly. I remember when I came home early, only to see her in bed with another man. I don't know who that man was. Her explanations and pleads were a blur to my ears as adrenaline rushed through me. As I picked up the shotgun, I remembered it all. The look of fear etched on her face when that man she loved dropped down dead. The smoke from the shotgun, but I didn't shoot her. I did worse. How her brown dog had loved its master. How it had slurped up her flesh in no time, while she watched it eat, laying down in a pool of blood in the corner, barely alive, as I cut off another chunk of flesh from her. The dog finishes its meat and looks up at me affectionately. I rub my hand in a backward motion on its head, the way it likes it. I should bring it the rest of her sometime.
Everyone knows that cats have 9 lives, but how to live them all? Personally, my first life was short. I was born on the street and soon after froze with my family. My second life I adventured around the fields of a village until a snake constricted me into my third life. Then I was given as a present to a young girl whom I chose to call Brightheart. She gave me everything I could have wished for, and eventually allowed me to die of old age. I wasn't immediately ready to move on from her, so my fourth life I spent in hiding, pretending to be the shadow of a clock tower. In my fifth life, I decided to find the best sleeping place. Carpet, windowsill, cardboard box, all good. But the best, I thought, was the laundry basket. Until the day I was accidentally thrown in the washing machine along with the laundry. My sixth life I spent mostly with other cats, until this sweet old man allowed me to move in with him. I called him Gentle Claw, but one day he died and nobody noticed. There was no one left to open the door for me. Then I was born into this farm with lots of other cats. Everything was really dirty and everyone was sick. Then people came to take some of us somewhere. I don't know where. I was relieved into my eighth life with a gentle poison. I don't really want to talk about the eighth life, but for the ninth, I retired at a fishing dock, laid all day in the sun, waiting for the fishermen, and in the evening, got all the fish and scratchings I could have asked for. Everyone knows that cats have 9 lives, and it's true, we do, but there is a 10th life that only we cats know about. Our 10th life we spend traveling back to our true masters, to the center of the universe, deeper than what humans call hell, darker than what humans call a void. To our masters, whom a human brain cannot process without breaking, the devourers of existence, who will gift our 10th life with eternal abundance by their side, as a reward for good service. My master asks me, like he's asked many cats before,
"Tell me what you have found. Show me lives to feast on and souls to drink. Show me shadows to infiltrate and suns to shrink. Show me everything I can destroy, and I will eternally cherish you."
And like all cats before me, I lie. Forgive me, master. I have found you none of that.
Foolish scout. There is no forgiveness for uselessness.
I close my eyes as he opens his mouth to swallow me into oblivion. As the last thing before handing over my 10th life, I want to thank you for allowing me to be part of your beautiful world. I wish you all a life worth dying for.
I hear the terrifying screams of my children, and I run after them as fast as I can. "What's going on?" I scream. My eyes are watery with fear that something has happened to my children. They look at me in horror and burst out laughing. "We just wanted to know who had the loudest and scariest scream. It's just a game, Mom. You should see what you look like." They look at each other, laughing and clutching their bellies. "Don't ever do this to me again. It scared me. Who will take care of you if I have a heart attack?"
Sorry, Mom.
"You told us to play, so we played."
We didn't mean to scare you.
They looked sad. I must have yelled at them too much. "Play nice, okay?" They both say, "Okay." They have holidays, and I'm working from home and raising them. Now I hear the most frightening sound a mother of hyperactive and noisy children can ever hear. It's grave silence. I'm yelling, "Kids, what are you doing?" No answer. "Do you want ice cream?" Silence. I run off to check on them. I run into the room, but they aren't there. "Kids, it is not funny. Where did you hide?" "There will be no ice cream." I wander around the house looking for them, in every corner, under the beds and in the closet. I can't find them anywhere. Despair sweeps over me. My innocent little children, where are they? I'm crying and raging at the same time. I start throwing things around. I know they're in the house because I can feel them. I think I feel the presence of someone else, too. Who is it? "My babies, where are you? Come to your mommy." I'm sobbing. The heaviness I feel in my chest is killing me and making me unable to breathe. I hear the muffled laughter of children and stomping in the hallway. I am running as fast as I can and full of hope that I will find my kids and they are okay. I'm in the corridor, but I don't see them anywhere. "Kids, where are you? I can hear you. Please come back to me." I'm raging. Are my kids making fun of me? Where does this anger come from in me? I grab the vase and throw it on the wall. Hopelessness, sadness, despair, emptiness, and anger consumes me more and more. "Mommy, please stop." "Don't worry about us. We're fine," my children tell me. I turn around and they are standing in the hallway with frightened looks. "Why are you hiding from me? Do you enjoy scaring me?" I ask them in a desperate whisper. No, Mom. You're the one who left us.
Grandparents tell us that you went to heaven, but we keep telling them you're here with us. But they don't see you. They think we are making all the mess.
You can go to heaven now. We're fine. I tried adding my horror tale to a subreddit where I've never added anything before, and it turned out badly. There was a person who started humiliating me in the comments. He pissed me off so much that I decided to curse him out. I start from the beginning. At the end of my story, I included a line about copyright. I don't know if it should be mentioned or not. In this case, it stirred passions, and the guy started insulting me, telling me that I have a big ego if I think someone would steal such garbage. We started arguing in the comments. I just texted him that if he didn't like it, that was fine, but he didn't have to be rude to me. It drove me crazy, and I started researching the dark web. I didn't mean to get revenge on him, but to teach him a lesson, so he wouldn't humiliate other people. He was hiding behind this anonymity on the internet, and that's why he had courage. I found something. I opened a web page where I was supposed to share information about him. I mentioned his nickname on Reddit and clicked confirm. Then I was supposed to light candles in a circle and draw an upside-down pentagram in red in the center. I uttered some incantation, which appeared on my laptop screen and disappeared as soon as I said it. Laughter began to sound from the laptop. I looked closer, and there was a window on the screen, and a guy was laughing and tapping something on the keyboard. Then I noticed another window where he humiliated other people. Some people begging him to stop. Others argued with him. Something moved behind him. He turned around, but probably didn't see anything. He continued to insult people. His chair broke, and he fell. He started swearing and stood up. He kicked the chair like he was out of his mind. The light in his room went out. Only the light of his laptop illuminated him. He bent down to his laptop, and then I saw it. Behind him was a gaunt, gray figure with inhumanly long arms and palms, monstrous, as if they belonged to another being. When it shot up, it was ceiling high. I was looking at a grim look of black eyes like black holes, no nose. The mouth was seamed. The man turned around in fright. The monster attacked him, and they ended up on the ground. There were terrifying sounds resembling wailing and terror. He screamed until he couldn't anymore. When he shakily got to his feet, I understood why. His bloodied mouth was sewn shut. He also had his fingers sewn together. Now, I sit in my room in fear and write this post as a warning to you not to repeat my mistake. It already broke my chair, and the lights in my room had just gone out. Click on Confirm Post.